Bien, Dennis, en inglés, ¿no? Contame cuándo te iniciaste y por qué te iniciaste.
Well, I tried to join Masonry when I was in India. However, as I was in active service in the army, I didn't have enough contacts. And then I tried when I went to Germany, but I was in occupation forces, and I couldn't get into a German lodge. So I did try to enter one in France, but they wouldn't accept me because of the language. So when I was transferred to England in permanent staff in Woolwich, the Royal Artillery Depot in Woolwich, I tried there, and I had contacts, but I was being transferred all over England because I was in charge of the display troop which fired the royal salutes when the royal family was present. And also we did demonstrations, so I had no time. When I came back to Argentina, I had contacts with Belgrano Lodge in 1949. I was ready to join with the authority of the Grand Master, who was Haxel in those days, but I was transferred suddenly to Rosario. And from Rosario I was transferred to Santa Fe, Córdoba, well, all over the place. When I came back to Buenos Aires, I tried again, and when it was all ready for me to go in, I was transferred to Bahia Blanca. Well, in Bahia Blanca I had a good system, because there were 3 hotels in those days, and that was in 1953. The British community in Bahia Blanca, a few, with the Vice Consul, had told hotels anybody with an English name, they had to be told, and then they visited them. In my case, I was visited by Masons, and I became a Mason in 1954. And I was there for 6 years. I was a member of Albion Lodge, and I became master after 6 years. And we had very high qualified members with the Vice Consul. We had the banker managers. Ariel was superintendent. In fin, the cream, should we call it. Well, from Bahia Blanca, I was transferred to Buenos Aires. And there I joined Belgrano. No, I'm sorry. I joined Trevor Mould. Well, when I was in BA, my employment took me all over the country, so I couldn't attend large meetings. And then suddenly was transferred to Bahia Blanca, and there, of course, I joined Albion Lodge. While in Buenos Aires, I became a member of Trevor Mould and Rosario. And being told I'd be transferred permanently in Buenos Aires, I was then contacted by Belgrano. And I used to visit Belgrano in the days of Douglas Burton. But when the Rosario Lodge closed down, I then got interested in Belgrano, and I joined Belgrano, where I'm in now. At the same time, I was a member of the Mark, and I worked up and I became the District Grand Master of the Mark with jurisdiction over Uruguay. I started the Mark in Bolivia and the Templars, and I became, of course, the Grand Master with Bolivia as well. Now, Bolivia must have, with a small number we had, I understand now Bolivia has about 10 lodges, but they come under the jurisdiction of Brazil.
Dennis, y cuando vos querías ingresar a la masonería en la India, en Alemania, en Francia, ¿qué es lo que te motivaba a vos? ¿Tuviste algún pariente masón?
No, I used to hear a lot about Masonry when I was in Buenos Aires, when I was a young boy and member of Belgrano Club. My father was interested but never joined. They say because he had trouble with a friend of his, which was a Mason. But I got interested then, and when I saw the friendship there was between them in India, I decided this is something. Because India has a great number of Masons, but members of India, I mean, they were born in India. So, and I understand that they talk in their native languages, which in my case wouldn't have been very difficult, because I was just speaking to study. And then when I went to Germany, I found there too there was a very good union. And from Germany I went to Denmark. We used to go every 3 months, we used to go for a weekend in Denmark, as we were in Itzehoe near Hamburg. And we used to go to Copenhagen. And there I visited the Masonic Lodge, which is in near what they used to call it, with a big park there. And that used to be, they say, the Gestapo headquarters during the war, and they never found Masonic symbols because they're all covered up. Now in Denmark, the Masonry was then very, very strong. And when they found out that I was a Mason, every day somebody came to take me to a party, or for the few days I was there. Look. So all the friendship started working in.
¿Cómo era ser un Enter Apprentice? ¿Cómo era ser un Enter Apprentice cuando vos eras Enter Apprentice? ¿Se estudiaba mucho? ¿Se practicaba mucho?
No, but we had to learn everything by heart. So we attended, if we could, we attended Lodge of Instruction. If not, the master used to give us the pieces we had to learn. And when there was initiation, we used to give our pieces. Out here, the master seems to do everything. But in overseas, where I was anyway, they used to give out different parts so they all could intervene. So when you got up to mastery, you do the ceremony inside out. For instance, now at my age, I don't remember hardly anything. I'm being quite honest. I'm 97, so I think that's a good excuse.
¿Qué recordás de esa época en Buenos Aires? Cochabamba, el Gran Templo, ¿cómo era?
Well, Cochabamba was quite big. We had a very large number of Masons. And one thing that was very interesting is the Mission to Seaman, the ground floor was a dining room in the Mission to Seaman, and we had the floor up, the first floor, sorry. And what we did have, for every lodge meeting, we always had the Tyler. But the Tyler used to lay out all the regalia. And they used to pack it. So all you had to do is walk up, pick a regalia, and when you came out, you just put it back in place. Things that nowadays but they were very, very strict on timetable and ceremony. And many a time, the Grand Master used to appear at the cemetery without being invited. And also one thing that we did notice at Grand Lodge, when we had a Grand Lodge meeting, that the Grand Master insisted that when they said visited at 8 o'clock, he walked in at 8 o'clock. And see, all your visitors came in first. But he had to be in at 8 o'clock, and he was very, very strict on that.
I'm sorry, I have to cut a bit.
Yo quiero que vos, yo te hago una pregunta y vos te explayes y vayas sacando lo que te acuerdes. Denis, ¿y cuándo fuiste máster de Belgrano Lodge por primera vez?
The first time I was master of Belgrano Lodge was this period, just this period. Before that, I was master at Trevor Albion. Trevor and Albion.
Contame algo, cómo creaste la marca y Templars.
Well, in the Mark and Templars, I had a contact of somebody I knew in Bolivia. You joined a lodge out here because Masonry is very, very strong in Bolivia. In fact, when I went to Bolivia, I met the manager of the Bank of London, Bahia Blanca, was master of the lodge in Bolivia. So through his contact, when Bolivians, English speaking, mind you, came to Buenos Aires, they started getting interested in Masonry. And we started, at their request, a Mark Lodge in Buenos Aires. In fact, we did it in Buenos Aires because Grand Lodge did not want us to open the Mark in Bolivia. And after, I think it was 5 years, I managed to get my way, where I was congratulated for my insistence. We started the Mark Lodge here, and it was a great success in Bolivia. It is now. I understand nearly every town has one, but mostly speaking in Spanish. The Templars was the same. When they found out about the Templars here, people from there came out here to find out about it, and we had initiation here, and I consecrated with consecrated a Templars lodge in Santa Cruz de las Sierras. We had to do it there because the Grand Master could not stand the heights. And after that it grew, I have 3 or 4 now. At the same time we had contact with the Bolivian lodges, and it's amazing the interest they have. They have a temple which is 4 floors high, and the last floor is exclusively for Masons of pensionable age, where it's left for the members free. They go there, have their dining room there and everything. It's really magnificent.
What about the Royal Arch?
The Royal Arch there here, the Royal Arch here, I joined when I came back to Buenos Aires. But I find generally there's not so much interest in the Royal Arch as there is in the other orders.
But you have a lot in Argentina, Royal Arch.
Argentina Royal Arch, yes. We used to have one in Rosario, for instance, and it closed down. For instance, when I was in Rosario working, I was living 6 months at the Italia Hotel, and I was never visited by anybody British, although I worked for the ESSO. And I never knew that the road, one road behind me, was a Masonic temple.
Contame alguna anécdota o algún personaje en el distrito que recuerdes.
No, I don't remember anybody, shall we say, who exceeded an eminence in any way through his joking systems and all that. Because out here we do take it At least we used to take it seriously.
En Cochabamba, ¿comían ahí en mismo Cochabamba o salían a comer a otro lado? The refreshment
In
table.
Cochabamba, we had the first floor, as I mentioned before, but we used to use the dining room downstairs for our dinners. And for when the ladies came, we used to have our dinners there as well.
Denis, ¿qué otra cosa se te ocurre para hablar del distrito?
I find that on leaving Cochabamba, well, we had to anyway, and going to this to Casa Peru, we have lost quite a number of members, which I put down to probably the building. We had a terrific number, we had quite a big space in Cochabamba, but a very limited space here in Peru. But we're gradually growing anyway. For instance, in my lodge, the lodge I'm in now, we have 5 candidates pending, which is Belgrano. Got 5 candidates pending, so we really got our work covered till January next year anyway.
¿Y qué consejos le darías a la nueva generación de masones?
I think that when new members come, they should have more support of the oldest members, especially at the festive board. Because I've noticed with new members, they sort of keep them they seem to keep together, and there's a definite step. I noticed that in 2-3 meetings there in Peru. But I do think the members, for instance, before, in Cochabamba, when you joined, you always had the members with you, backing you and talking to you, which you don't see it much in Peru.
Ese es un buen consejo. ¿Y cómo ves la masonería actualmente?
Well, it's no doubt Masonry is a good institution, but I do see a constant lack of membership in the British part. That's mainly due to British firms leaving the country, and then probably people prefer to work in Spanish than English. But what I do know, so we do get now and again members from the Argentine Lodge joining British lodges, which I think we should be a bit careful, because I think they probably joined because I think they're going to learn some English. And I've told 1 or 2 of them already that, look, you're not going to learn English joining the lodge. You learn a system. Because once you're at the festive board, you talk in Spanish.
¿Qué le dirías a un enter apprentice? ¿Qué le dirías a una persona para ingresar a la masonería?
Well, it's a good institution, but it takes a lot of your time if you want to work out. And I might say a lot of patience too. But you learn quite a lot from the ritual, and it's a wonderful circle for friendship.
¿Y en qué te ha ayudado la masonería en tu vida diaria?
Well, when my wife died, the photo there, I was a member of Devoto in Albion. No, in Devoto lodges. Lodge in Devoto. And I didn't attend for 5 years because I had to look after 4 children, all underage. And of course, not going, I didn't pay my dues. But when the matter came up, a member there said, don't worry, he'll pay. And when I went to pay my debt, after 5 years and the children grown up, I found out that this person was paying my dues. So I gave him my money.
Fantástico. Denis, vamos a ir mezclando un poco los temas, ¿no? Contame algo de tu experiencia en la India. ¿Por qué decidiste ir de voluntario a la India?
Well, I was a volunteer from the Argentine, and I joined. I finally joined my regiment in the Royal Artillery in Scotland. But that I joined. But I picked. The army wanted to put me in the infantry, but as my father and my grandfather, and great grandfather, had all been in the artillery, they put me in there for family tradition.
De vuelta con esta parte que estaba bien, ¿sí? Así que seguí contando de tu abuelo, tu padre.
See, they were all so the colonel in the recruiting office put me straight into the artillery. Now, the funny thing is, I landed in Scotland, and I had to go to London to register, and I went all the way back to Scotland. There was, I got to Bombardier, and I was recommended for Oxford. And I went before a board in Edinburgh, where we were interviewed by 3 brigadiers. And they decided if you went up to or not. Well, I went up with 2 or 3 people anyway. I got through. And I always remember that when I walked out of the conference room, one of the brigadiers said, Bombardier, you said you came from the Argentine. Yes, I said, what's the Argentine like? So, of course, I just really put it on. Oh, so that's fine. And when I walked out, he said, I'm very pleased, he said. It's improved a lot since I was military attaché. That was my first time I had to keep quiet. Now, from there, of course, I went to Woolwich, and the cadet battalion, and there we were all sent to India. I mean, the infantry went to Bangalore, the tanks went to Dehradun, and the artillery went to Deolali, which the troops used to call Doolali. Deolali is about 120 kilometers from Bombay. And there, being there were also 2 Argentina volunteers, Sharples and Fox. Fox used to play hockey for Quilmes, actually. And while I was there, Mikey Robinson was there too, turned up, but on another course. Now, while in India too, when I was transferred to the regiment as an officer, all during the time we were in Burma, Indian Burma, my signaller, I mean, he used to be with the guns when I went out with the infantry, was Roddy Kroom, who was from Loma de Zamora, an ex-student of St. Albans.
Volviendo a la masonería, ¿qué otra cosa te acordás o te llama la atención o quisieras comentar de todo lo que has vivido, Denis?
When I went, I got a scholarship to go to the States. It was just after I got pensioned, actually, and I went to Missouri. And when it was amazing how somehow it said that I was a Mason, but everywhere I went, I was met by Masons. At the airport, by the police, the guard, who was a Negro, he was a Mason. The girl at reception, who met me, she must have been in a Mason Masonic order too. I believe women are in the States. And when I got to Missouri, they were waiting for me there. And then from there I had to go to a place for a few days to Jacksonville. And I was sitting down talking at the teachers and all that. And one of them said, say, Bud, I hear a son of Hiram. He was a Mason too. But everywhere I went, I was met by Masons. Now, I don't know if the word spread out or what, but everywhere I went with it. And there it's fantastic, Masonic orders, right?
Sabes, Denis, que hay mucha gente que te toma como referencia. Sabes que hay muchos miembros que te toman como referente.
Mm-hmm.
Y has sido un instructor en, como director de ceremonias, por ejemplo.
Mm.
¿Y qué otra cosa se te ocurre para agregar a la entrevista esta?
I don't know, it's the interest I want to hear, that's all.
Yo creo que
I think it's good because it spreads the idea of Masonry. A lot of people think Masonic order is something terrible. For instance, I'm very religious and I go to church and all that, I used to. And there were some members of the church don't like Masonry at all. For instance, I was a Mason in Bahia Blanca, but the local priest didn't know, but when he found out, he completely forgot me. He wouldn't talk to me anymore. Bahia Blanca said I was very friendly with the priest. I'm a member of the Anglican Church. There we had to go to the Catholic Church. So. And when the revolution was on, they burnt the cathedral and all the rest of it, he hid the back of my garden. And I was a Christian, the man next door was an atheist. And we got hold of him, we took him to the Cardinal's Palace and left him there. We became great friends. But when he knew I was a Mason, stopped. The whole thing stopped. Never talked to me again.
¿Algo más?
Yo tengo preguntas para hacerle.
A ver, ¿qué pregunta le harías vos?
No sé, ¿de dónde viene esa cosa de ocultismo, o esto, de terminar una amistad por...
¿Escuchás? Es una pregunta de Seba.
¿Por qué crees que esa amistad...
¿Cómo?
¿Por qué crees que esa amistad terminó a raíz de...?
No la veo mal, porque la iglesia, por lo menos en este caso... No, sorry. The thing is, I think, the reason is, I think that the part of the church, especially the Latin church, we say, view it as something against their principles. Although the Anglican Church has quite a number of Masons. I will say one thing, that when I was living in Coglan, I used to go to a church there, which is the biggest church in Buenos Aires, incidentally. And there, they wanted the head of the Boy Scouts. I'd been a scout. So the pastor, the Franciscan friars in this place, came to see me and said, if I take over, I said, I can't. I said, I'm an Anglican. I can't take a Catholic group. Said, well, we want you to take over for a few years. I said, do it for one. I said, anyway, I said, I don't want any trouble because I want you to know that I'm a Mason. Oh, he said, good, come with me. Come and see me at church. And he took me to his office. He opened the thing, and there he had the 33-degree sign. So, I mean, we all have different secrets.
Es increíble que el Boy Scoutismo es originario de la masonería. Boy Scouts
Sí,
tienen su origen en la
sí,
masonería.
Lord Baden-Powell. Bueno, que incluye eso y también la base militar de él. It includes that also part of his military, because he was in South Africa in the Boer War.
que existe algo parecido a los Boy Scouts en los militares?
Well, the only thing, I wouldn't say similar, but which was interesting when I was in the army, especially when I was on permanent staff in Woolwich, was they had a boys' battery. That's as young boys, 15 onwards, could join the army, but they were kept on as a school. And they all wore uniform, very much like the Scouts, but of course attached to the army. And when they reached 18, they were incorporated into the army as regular soldiers.
Bueno, y vamos a redondear un mensaje final para el distrito.
Well, I hope what I've said is of interest to everybody, but I must say, although people complain and everything about the services, the best time of my life was in the army, with friendship and more so during the war. And even now, with the attachés of different embassies, and also officers, ex-officers of the Argentine Army, I still have friendship. And when we meet, we're sort of, how could I say, I won't say brothers, but great friends. A united family.
Y algo relacionado a la familia masónica ahora.
Now in Masonry, of course, you're all friends, you all meet, and but the relationship is the same. Except when you're in the army, it's how should I say, it's deeper because of what you've been through. While in Masonry, it's peaceful and greater friendship.
Yo creo que está bien. ¿Hay algo que quieras agregar referido al distrito, a la masonería?
Well, I think that I find it, well, in my own case, I've always wanted my sons to be Masons, but they don't want to be. In fact, one joined the Argentine Grand Lodge, and within 2 years he left. He said he didn't have time. I think we all should make time. We all have time. Now, instead of drinking or eating or reading the newspaper, we might find an effort to do so.
No era su momento. Good. I think it's perfect. 1 hora más o menos. Te hemos hecho hablar casi 1 hora.